Great day, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday Sip and Chat. I am Marian's sister, Full Boydu, and today we are going to be having a conversation talking about the power that we hold within us. If we cannot own our own decisions and choices, are we really free? And a lot of us are misjudging and misguiding the whole opportunity that talks about freedom and choice and opportunity, especially when we're here in America and we're always talking about, oh, this is the land of opportunity, the free land of the free. But we're finding out more and more in the more recent times that we really are not the land of the free. It is a perception. And for me, I often think about something that when I was studying in college and my undergraduate was in Africology. And one of the things that we talked about was that people would always ask, why didn't all the slaves just run away? Why didn't all the enslaved Africans just get together and bum rush and run away? And the question was that would always come back is, where would they go? Once, just like the symbol that they tell us about the elephant that has the rope tied around its ankles and it keeps going around the same circle, or the donkey that keeps going around the same thing with the chain, even though the elephant is stronger and probably could break the chain, it doesn't, because it's been conditioned to accept the current circumstances that it's in. This conversation today is really about us thinking about some of the conditioning and some of the rights and privileges that we give up that are innately ours, that we give up so quickly for the ideal of conformity, for the idea of comfort. Today, sip and chat. Go get your tea, go get your coffee, go get your mimosa, go get whatever else you sipping on today, because that's what our conversation is going to be about. Go ahead and tell a friend, bring in a couple more people and let them be a part of this process too. Today, we're going to be talking. I know a lot of people say they got their notices late. I can't control that. I think I did something with the new system that may be prolonging people from getting things. I think it's waiting until actually it starts. It may be on a different time zone, but we're going to correct that out going forward. Giving you a couple of announcements while people are getting themselves started. We are going to have an open interactive session. So I do expect you to participate. Leave your comments there on YouTube, leave your comments on Facebook, and leave your comments here on the chat in Zoom. You can join us in Zoom. All you got to do is go and send us an inbox and we'll send you over the link. It's 482-133-0852. So we want to make sure we're here. So let's have this conversation again. What is it about this ideal of freedom that keeps coming up so often, but yet we're very quick and very easily gives it away at the same time? What makes it possible for us to want to harness freedom, to have freedom and have liberty, to have choices, but yet give it away so freely? Exactly. Today, this conversation was stemmed because I was watching the news headlines, and it was talking about this Roe versus Wade. And because I do a lot of work with women advocacy and for domestic violence and for women adventures and avenues, anything for women, I tend to be a part of. So a lot of times I get pulled into conversation. So the conversation was talking about that Louisiana just made it criminal that a woman cannot have an abortion at any stage without, or else they could be convicted with criminal charges for murder. And someone came back and they came to me, and one of the comments they put in the group is they said, well, are we really free? I mean, are we really free if a government can pass a law that tells you what you can do with your personal body, what choices, what decisions you can make with your personal body? Now, let me give you a preface and tell you this is not a religious conversation. This is not a persuading conversation. This is going to be a conversation about freedoms and liberties. And that I'm just using this as one example, but I have 5 others that we're going to be talking about as well. And it all boils down to how easily it is for us to sway ourselves to allow our freedoms and liberties to be chipped away at. This is not about an insurrection. It is not about trying to persuade you to think differently about anything or anyone that you feel is requiring your presence or that's benefiting you. But it is about asking the question, the real question: what are we giving up and what is it costing us? If there could be a bill that tells you what you can and cannot do with your body, what you cannot subject yourself to. What's the premise behind that? How are they able to convince people in that legislature that it was okay to tell people what they can and cannot do in the place that tells you that you have your right to free speech, you have your right to religion, you have your right to personal property, you have your rights, right? Go back to your Constitution. Let's think about that conversation today. What freedoms are we giving up in our physical space? And what freedoms are we giving up in our mental and emotional space? What are we giving up in our mental and emotional space? What are we allowing people to manipulate, disrupt, promote, alter within our personal spaces that prevent us from having the opportunities that we really desire for the better life? How can I pursue life, liberty, and happiness if every time I try to pursue it, it is not allowed? I'm looked at as a criminal. Another example of that, of course, we know we have to have rules, we have to have expectations, we have to have limitations when there's a broad variety of people, or else we will have pure chaos, right? That's why we have stoplights. That's why we have stop signs. That's why we have speed limits. In this moment of us expanding out our lives, we cannot afford to misjudge the intentions and the subsequent consequences that relate to our ability to activate and implement our freedom of choice and decision making. Because those are the two inalienable rights that you have inside of you from the beginning. They're all about you. They're all about your life expansion plan. It's all about your choices, your commitment to your freedom, to your liberty, to your expansion. So if anyone can come back and say, oh no, we don't think people should be able to expand, then it becomes a whole nother level of discontentment. And that's why many of us are going around saying, oh, I can't do anything. I can't do anything. I'm not able to expand my life. I'm not able to hold on to the next level because there's going to be a consequence. So what is that consequence? It's based upon the experiences that you have. You want to go back to school, someone tells you it's too expensive, someone tells you you're too old, someone tells you that you're going to get caught up in student loans, someone tells you that this isn't the right time for you to do that. But it's your decision, it's your choice. You decide to marry someone or pursue a relationship. It's your choice, it's your decision. People may give you some insight. People may give you insight. But at the end of the day, it's your choice and your decision. And you have to be willing to own it and pursue it. Absolutely, positively. Because one of the things we keep putting ourselves into is captivity. I want to talk about it. I opened up with a comment about when I was studying Africology, and we were doing cultural anthropology, and we were learning about the enslavement of millions of Black Africans in this country and throughout the world, but specifically in America. And everyone kept saying, but why don't they just run? Why don't they have a insurrection? And why don't they take over? They were outnumbering and I said, it's about the mind. It was about the mind. Where are you going to go to? How are you going to get there? They have guns, you have tools, right? So fear is real. The reality of the consequence is real, but yet some risked it. Those that made a decision and a choice that said, I would rather make an attempt to have what I want than to be held back doing what I don't want. I'm going to say that again. I would rather in my life die trying to have what I truly want and desire for my life than to just sit him and accept what's been given to me. So in in moving forward in relationship to how we have expansion. As I said, we can talk about the Roe versus Wade decision that people are trying to overturn, controlling a woman's ability to make a decision and a choice about whether or not to have a child or not have a child, whether it's a fetus, whether it's just a whatever term you want to use there. Again, this is not about religion. It's not about morals, values, any of that. It is about a personal choice that people can make. And every day we're making personal choices and decisions, or are we? Are we? You have to determine and you have to stand by it vehemently when you make a choice and a decision that you believe and know with all of your knowings that it's going to be for your best interest. Again, people can give opinions, people can give insight, they can share their experiences, they can share more knowledge, and then you ultimately have to make that final decision. When people come to me for counseling or life coaching or business consulting, they often say, well, what should I do? And I say, well, let's look at the options. You tell me what you want to do. And why is that important? Now let's prioritize it. Is that really what you want? Okay. So let's figure out how to get the resources to make it happen. Let's make the adjustments, the alterations that are required. When people come to me for spiritual guidance, I say, listen, I can tell you what I see, hear, feel, and know, but I can't tell you what to do with it. It's your ultimate decision. So if we're going to allow people to dictate to us how to make our own personal decisions, that's telling us that our mind and our choices are perceived as possible inadequate, inferior. What's your thoughts today? We're here on the Sip and Chat. We got about 30 more minutes left on the Sip and Chat. But this is a conversation we have to have if we're truly going to evolve and expand our lives. We have to begin to own the power of choice, own the power of decision making. It's not wishy-washy. It's not a one-off. It is a continuum of energy. Everything we do, everything we touch is based upon energy. The way that this image is able to go across the airwaves, the way you're able to hear my voice is all energy. If they break it down and put an infrared light on it, you can see the sound waves. You can see the different pixelations that are occurring to make this picture solid. The foam, the vibrational forces of those molecules holding together to form a solid. The water you're drinking, the tea you're drinking, the coffee you're drinking are all molecules working together. So everything is energy. So what choices are we making today? Welcome to those of you that join us here in the Saturday Sip and Chat. We're talking about choice and decision making. My question I'm putting out there is, if other people or outside entities can make our choices and decisions for our own personal selves, then are we really free? Are you really living out your liberties? Or have we been enslaved by a system, circumstances, and agreements that need to be revisited? What y'all say today? Those of you that are in the chat room, I see you. Thank you for commenting. I agree. Those of us that are engaging in conversations with other people, we have to be mindful. Sometimes they have their own agenda, and it could harm us more than help us, even your family. I agree. I agree. But I do also believe in, having conversations. Absolutely. Anyone else want to comment on this today? Go ahead and unmute yourself. If you want to join us here on Zoom, you can do that as well. The link is up on the link on our page on Facebook, and you can come into the room and have a conversation with us on today about this issue of making personal choices and decisions a priority for you. How do we easily give it up for compliance? Have you heard this one? For peace sake, for the safety and the well-being of all. Does that really matter if you are part of that? Are you not part of that well-being for all? Let's have a conversation today. Oh, somebody writing down some notes. She busy too. How you doing today, Denise? Come online. I ain't heard your voice in a couple of days.
Doing good.
Good, good, good. What's your thoughts about this today? I know I saw you nodding and like going, mm-mm. What you
You know,
thinking?
I'm thinking that, it's a good topic for today. And um, it, it, it just, it's funny to me when you talk about, personal choice and what's going on with the Roe v. Wade thing. And it's funny how they take that away and don't give us a personal choice, but they're out there hollering the same people that it's my right to put a mask on or not put a mask on, my right to have a vaccine, my right to do this, my right to carry a gun. But then they're going to tell me, we have all these rights. And then with this one particular subject is something different. So it makes you look at your life whole, the overall about whether or not you really have freedom of choice. And you have to take ownership in your own life, regardless of what people around you are saying or doing. And you vibrate at that. Whatever you put out is what you're gonna get in. So even though they're trying to limit this one thing over here, I don't have to buy into that. It's still my body, it's still my mind, and I can choose to get caught up in the semantics of it and feel like I'm being oppressed and chained, or I can say, well, you can write whatever you're gonna write, but my mind is free and I can still do what I want to do. I'm gonna be that one I'm gonna die trying. I'm just not gonna sit there and take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point you made. And you said something else. You said they tell us about all these rights. I also have that written down on mine too, Denise, about this whole thing about wearing the mask. That's a big thing. Malcolm Jamal Warner on Twitter yesterday talked about taking a flight and the woman had on her mask. He said, well, we don't have to wear them anymore or whatever. And she said, well, it's my right. I choose to wear mine because I know that some people may not be safe and I want to be safe. And I believe that was a very important conversation to have because people tend to want to put you, again, it's that conformity idea.
Yes.
That conditioning that we should all be on the same page. But America is one place where I've learned after living in other countries, we are not about nationalism at all. We don't do nationalism very well. Every individual has their own thing. Even within the subcategories, there's still outliers. So when we talking about personal choice, and that talks about even with the money, right? Where the bank tells you can only take out this amount of money so quick. You can only put in this much money or you got to go through this process. So how much are we really free to do? Going back, the ideas of morality, the ideas of someone else having a greater influence or greater knowledge about you. That's how many of us have gotten into this spinning treadmill that has us going on this emotional mental treadmill that has us questioning our value, questioning our wisdom, questioning who we are.
Yes.
And our ability to make valuable contributions. It has us trying to, as I said in my book, Seek and Escape, from the time we're born, we're being told how to act, how to think, how to speak, what to accept, what not to accept. And then one day when it's too much, we just break out and rebel. But why does there have to be a rebellion? Why can't we just stop doing that? Stop telling people what they have to do and give them the options and let them choose and support them as they do it. Support them as they do it. Because some of the decisions that people are making, if they had a chance to choose from all the options, they might still choose that option, but at least they'd be better prepared.
Absolutely.
Because nothing is absolute, y'all. And all things are temporary. And the universe is constantly in movement for your behalf. So if we're going to sit up here and say we're free, if you're going to say you have these liberties, if you're going to say you're feeling fine and fabulous, you're a bad boss girl, you the Mac daddy, whatever term they're using for the being, I forget. You're getting distracted time and time again by conversations that you're entertaining that are lower frequencies, but they're masked as high frequency. They're masking it as a high frequency too. And it's not. It's just distracting you from the conversations and the opportunities that are truly for you. So freedom is more than just saying I can move around. Freedom is saying not only can I move around, but I can decide what goes in this space. I can decide what leaves this space. I can decide how I want to interact with what's in this space. And I can accept the consequences of those choices, actions, and decisions. You're listening to the Saturday Sip and Chat. I am Marian Sister Ford Boydue. And this conversation today is about choices and decision making. The limitations that we place upon ourselves and allow others to place upon us in the name of freedom. In the name of freedom. What does that mean to you? I see some more folks popped into the room today. Go ahead, introduce yourself, give us your feedback on the comments today. Don't be shy. We got folks that are watching and we thank you for being here. I'm going to take this moment while people are unmasking to remind people that I'll be hosting my annual Inner Heal Her retreat, July 15th through the 17th here in Arizona. You can actually come and be here with me live and in person as long as you follow the protocols that are found on our website. We're going to have a great time. It's called the Reclaim Experience. It's time for women to start reclaiming back their positions as women, as leaders, as truth givers. More than just that, you are also the goddesses. You are the indigo children. You are the star childs. You are the healers. You are the knowers. You are the doers. You are the movers. You are the shaker. Let's reclaim that back and reclaim it back with pride. Reclaim it back with dignity. Elevate ourselves back into a place of consciousness where we can truly begin to heal ourselves first from the inside out, and then allow that vibration to affect all those that are surrounding us. Mm-hmm. That's the issue that many of us are facing. We are constantly in a battle for position and space. Oh, yeah, y'all thought I was going to get off topic. No, I'm still there. So join me July 15th to the 17th. Go over to bit.ly/22 Heal Her with capital HER and register today to get your registration. And if you can't make it in person, that's not an excuse, because guess what? We still have the interactive online. We started doing that back in 2020 and it has been perfect. We keep you involved. It's just like you're being there. You just can't touch us, but you get all the power, all the exchanges, and all of the insight. So that again, that is bit.ly/22 Heal Her, capital HER at the end. All right, we're back. So those of you that are here, we're talking about the conversation about choices. Are you really free if others are able to dictate and determine whether or not your choices and decisions can be implemented? And I'm not talking about things that keep us safe. I'm talking about personal choices in your personal life, for your personal family. I've been watching, my husband and I have been binge watching this show called Chicago Med. And I'm kind of late because I had a nephew that was an actor on the show, right? And I feel kind of bad because I never really watched it, but he's actually pretty good. I have to admit, he's very, very good. But we were looking at the show and there was two incidents my husband didn't understand. He said, how can somebody say they don't want treatment and they have a baby inside of them? And then the other one was that the woman was anorexic and she was telling them she didn't want to take the food. She refused to be fed, but she was severely anorexic and had some other things going on. Those were their personal choices, as Denise talked about earlier: the right to carry a gun, the right to not receive care, the right not to be resuscitated. Yeah. All of these rights are in our hands. But then we got this Roe versus Wade thing going on. It baffled me. So do I own my body? We can go back to entertainment. When Will Smith slapped, punched, hit, whatever term you need to put there, Chris Rock, the Oscars said, we should ban you and we want you to retire, or we should take back the Oscar. That's about property. That's about property. We're going to blacklist him for his behavior. These are statements that let you know that they believe that you, I, him, her belong to them. That once you are getting into subconscious, unspoken agreements every day, and you follow them with compliance. Some cost you more than others. All right, let me hear from y'all. Go ahead and unmute yourselves if you're in the Zoom room. If you want to get in the Zoom room, go to the page on Facebook and get the link and come on in and have a conversation with us. I think I saw the brilliant mind, Kalia. Kalia, you got something today to add to this?
Thanks for having me. I'm just kind of catching up on the conversation, so I'm trying to see exactly what the topic is. If you don't mind giving me a quick recap.
Oh, sure. We're talking about personal freedoms and choices, and I use the analogy of what's currently happened with the Roe versus Wade, where Louisiana just passed on Thursday a law that says that if you get an abortion, it is considered to be criminal capital murder. I also talked about the fact that in entertainment, Will Smith was seen and was admonished by those at the Oscars, saying that they wanted to take back his Oscar, but it was too late. They have asked him to leave the organization. However, he can still continue to act. Some people wanted him blacklisted from performing at all. Other examples that we talked about was that when we are into compliance, that America is not really the land of free. It's about compliance. It's about agreeing to unspoken, unheard agreements. And then I related it back to how it can impact our personal decisions in our lives for life expansion as individuals. So wherever you want to fit in.
Well, it's definitely a good topic. Well, I agree with you. I mean, there's definitely a lot of rules and regulations in America. I see that even just within real estate, because what I've noticed with real estate is that normally when your average person starts making money, the rules always change. So I've been thinking about it recently because I've been seeing, like, I've been in real estate since 2005. And, like, I saw how the rules changed after the market crash in 2008. Now some of the rules are changing, even for people who are doing like bed and breakfast and stuff like that. Now some of the cities are saying that they're putting different stipulations on there. So I definitely can see the difference with going to Africa, because one reason why I went there was to kind of get familiar with the market. So I definitely see how, I mean, I guess I'm talking about real estate now, but I see how, like, being in America, how there's certain limitations on maybe how people can expand. Like, you may be an average investor here, whereas, like, going to Africa is almost like the sky's the limit. Like, people are willing to talk to you. They want you to make money. So I found that there, just in terms of real estate, there's a lot more expansion there than what it is here in America. But a lot of people, they're familiar with America, so people want to stick with what they know. I mean, even now, how, like, the cost of living is going up, people are looking to buy a house. And I have like two minds about it, because I've seen the market like in 2000 kind of go down, then 2008. So, but people have certain, I guess really it's just the mindset sometimes needs to change, because we may have grown up saying, okay, well, my parents had a house, so that means I have to have a house, so we have certain things that we think, given our, watching our parents and our grandparents. But I think too, sometimes it's just about changing your perspective. So sometimes we can see things as if it's like a limitation, but really maybe it just means that there's something else that's for you. Because I do believe that even though there are certain laws and things that are in place, we always have options. So it's just more so saying, okay, well, I know the law is this. So is this going to be highest best for me? If not, it could be something else. So maybe more so just exploring what our options are and seeing other ways to go about it. Now, of course, the having abortion is a whole nother topic, because, with that, I mean, I guess if you're in that state, then you may not have that option if you were to go to that medical, having an abortion or something like that. But I do believe that we have options, and sometimes it's just a matter of changing our perspectives.
That's very key. We spoke on that a little earlier too, because, and I use the example that when I was in college studying Africology and cultural anthropology, one of the things that kept coming up was like, oh, why didn't they just take over the plantation owners, and why didn't they just run, and da da da. And I said, let's use the analogy. They would say, well, where would they go? There's multiple things that prevented them from doing it. Most importantly, it was the mindset. Like you said, it was the mindset, the knowing of the fear of the unknown, or what they had been shown already, right? What happens to those who did try to go? And I think too, this ideal of choice and freedom, Kalia, I agree. It is about options. Even you were speaking about real estate. What popped in my mind was, for my husband, it was very weird for him to say, when I said, oh yeah, we're buying a home. And he went, yeah, okay, good. Then we can do whatever we want to do. I said, well, we're still going to have to pay taxes, even if the house is paid for. Like the idea that the land is not really yours, but the house you can pay for. But if you don't pay the taxes, they can take the house and the land. So that idea, again, looking at choices, freedoms, and decisions, and making compromises and concessions in order to have compliance and get what you want. Because if you're telling me I have the right to this, I have the freedoms for this, I have the liberties for this, but there's also a limitation. So are we really free?
Well, I see like there could be a limitation, but it also could just be a responsibility, I mean, because you could just like even an example of taxes. I mean, you could look at the example of maybe some countries where people are not collecting taxes, and the way that people are living. So, I mean, everything comes with a consequence. I guess people say a consequence or a responsibility. I mean, that's just one of the universal laws, is like cause and effect. So everything is going to have something else that's to it, but that's all to a part of life.
Yeah. So your position is that, like, hey, we got to deal with it. We got to figure out the best options to go with what we're attempting to acquire in order to be the best, have the best life we can experience. I got it. I mean, I get it. I mean, that just really was something that came to my mind. Like I said, they had sent this over to me and I went, what? I said, what are you saying? What are you asking me? And they was like, well, what does this really mean? I said, it means that you are going to comply with the laws. And I said, we do it all the time. People do it all the time. I watched this show called What Would You Do? And they showed this episode that always reinforces to me, like, to think freely, like think and find out the why, right? Or the root cause. And so they had this dental office where people were coming for their dental appointments, and they took over the office and they started doing, they had one person sitting there. So when the second person came in, there was a sound that went off. I think it was a ding or something. And the person stood up, right? And then after about the third time, the second person started standing up when the first person stood up. And then the more people that came into that room, they all began to respond. Even those that didn't even, they just came in and saw everybody else standing up, so they stood up. That's the compliance. That's the agreements that we make, because we are innately social beings. How we survived all this time over time was by being in small groups or bands of people. We lived together and we worked together. We hunted together. We gathered together. We built together. We created societies together. Everything was done in a social interaction. So if we're doing that, y'all, that's where this is coming from. Now, the difference I'm finding, and I'm asking today, especially for those of us that are women, in your relationships, in your social environments, in your families, in your jobs, in your communities, what are we giving up for compliance, for peace, to belong, to accept, to allow? Who decides? Are we deciding what we should accept? What's valuable? What's not valuable? Who has the knowledge to give us what we need? Why is their decision? Why is their assessment more important than our assessment? These are questions we have to think about, even in our individual lives, when you make a decision for a change in your life, when you make a decision for your own personal health, when you make a decision for your children, when you make a decision for your partner, you make a decision for your business, for your finances. When you make that decision, you have to hold the position that it's yours and that you value it and it's a priority. Otherwise, other people can come and do and say anything. There's just one Black woman talking on this morning. Her name is Marion Sister Afua Boydu. And she's talking about this ideal of the power of the mind. Understanding that your mind is where you must make the decision. You must weigh out all the pros and cons. I think Kalia said it. Do you want that responsibility? Do you want to look at all the options? Or you just want someone to spoon feed you one or maybe two? I was working with Tony Robbins one time at an event, and I heard him say, if you only presented with two options, you have a dilemma. The more options that you have, the more freedom you have to choose. You can't really choose from two options. Eventually, you get to the place where you begin to see the broader picture and you realize what has the greatest impact and vision for you where you're trying to go. On this Saturday Sip and Chat, we got some folks commenting in the comments. Our guy, this says, our guy 212 is saying that if we truly believe that we are free, we have to have rules. These rules will keep us safe. These rules keep us from just going willy-nilly all over the place and preventing other people from doing the same. It would be total chaos. That's why I believe that we really have to give up parts of our true liberties in order to be free. Okay. All right, our guy. I get it. I can see your position. But my question I will respond back to you with is, at what cost? And when do you stop? And what's your role in deciding that? And who are you picking to do it? How can you decide on what you want and where you want to be and how you want to feed your lives? As I said, we were watching the Chicago Med thing, and these people were able to choose that. So we have all these rights to carry a gun. We have the rights to free speech. We have the right to have our own religion. We have the right to decide what type of healthcare, what type of housing we exist in. Actually, you don't. Because if I remember right, I think some places enforce that if you live in a house that doesn't have running water or lights, that your house can be condemned. I think that's in a couple of states. I know my hometown of Wisconsin, state of Wisconsin, that is a law that if you don't have running hot water, if you don't have running water and electricity, your house can be condemned. All right, so there's a standard, there's safety rules, and then there's what? Social compliance. I'll keep it and end it here on today, y'all, here on this Saturday Sip and Chat. Remembering that your body, your mind is yours. Your body and mind is yours. You have to choose what's best for you at all times in all scenarios. You make the final decision. Because at the end of the day, it is your life that will be impacted. It is your communications that will be remembered, your actions and inactions. Be a free being. Being free, like the elephant tied to the chair, he's free, but he's also forgotten his strength. He's also forgotten the possibilities that exist beyond this current circumstance and condition. And my reminder today on this Saturday Sip and Chat is that we must not forget there are possibilities and other options when things are presented to us. No, you don't break the speed limit. Not every day. Right? No, you just don't go walk into and violating people's personal spaces and properties. No. But when a person has to make a decision for what is best for them in order for them to truly pursue their life, liberty, and happiness, it has to be their decision. And it clearly states that in the Constitution. But why do we forget that when it comes to our individual lives and making decisions on what's best for us? Whether it be to get married or not married, to educate or not educate, to be vegan, vegetarian, a pescatarian, or what is the other one? Carnivorous, right? Whatever term people are making up, it's all your choice to be a traditional religious person, or to be something that is non-traditional here in this country. Either way, it's your choice. It's your inalienable right to choose what is best for you, because each of us have an innate code that is inscribed in us on our DNA. It's an agreement that we made prior to even coming to this realm. That is my belief. So even before we were placed in our mother's womb, we had this agreement, we have this assignment, we have this purpose, we have this guidingness. Why delay it? Why allow others to dictate your peace, your comfort, your joy, your expansion, your truth, your purpose? At what cost are you willing to pay? That's my summary for today. Thanks for being here on the Saturday Sip and Chat. It was a deep, hard conversation to think of. But remember, your mind is the gold mine. It's filled with seeds that need to blossom. And once they blossom, the fruits will reveal themselves. And they're for you first before you share it with others. So keep growing. Coffee cups, water cups, tea cups, and mimosa cups up. We'll see y'all again on next Saturday.